Welcome to Skyjet Wings. Good evening, friends. Now, let's begin. This is a part of Canada most Canadians rarely think about, but our adversaries do. This land, vast, frozen, and silent, is no empty wilderness. It is the Arctic, and it is becoming one of the most contested regions on Earth. This is a special look at Arctic sovereignty and what Canada is doing to protect it. Because the truth is uncomfortable. Canada's military is stretched. Not enough soldiers, not enough equipment, not enough margin for error. Mission briefing. Today's objective, insert OP India 111, Charty. No room for hesitation. All right, let's do it, people. This is an increasingly dangerous world. For decades, Canada relied on the United States to jointly respond to threats in the north. But geopolitics has shifted. Our closest ally is no longer guaranteed to be reliable.
And starting engine number 2. So here, at the top of the world, the Canadian Armed Forces are showing how they would respond, by land, by air, by sea. This is Operation Nanuk. The alert comes in. Warship 433. Roger. Over. A Canadian Navy vessel snaps to life. We are aboard HMCS William Hall, deep in Arctic waters. Remote, stunning, and utterly unforgiving. An aging Air Force surveillance aircraft has detected something unusual. An unidentified small vessel moving through restricted Arctic waters. Is it innocent? Or is it something else? Do we have any indication they're more on the southern side versus the northern side? No indication, but we'll clear it as we go. This is a simulation, but the threat is real.
Espionage, sabotage, foreign actors probing Canada's defenses. This exercise exists because someone out there is already planning for the real thing. So you get tasked with this. How do you proceed? We go look. We confirm. We don't assume. They don't know who's on that boat. They don't know the intent. Only the location. Only the risk. And only the clock. Command falls to Commander Scott Kellerman. His job: find the vessel, identify the crew, control the situation. Sounds simple, until you realize the Arctic is not an ocean. It's a haystack of ice, the size of nations, and somewhere inside it is a needle. This is Canada's Arctic. Quiet, vulnerable, strategic, and the world is watching. This is Skyjet Wings.
We're talking about 100 square miles. Ice, water, nothing to hide behind. That's why air power matters. A helicopter turns an impossible search into a possible one. In terrain this vast, eyes in the sky are essential. The challenge here isn't just military, it's national. Canada's future, trade routes, resources, influence depends on controlling the Arctic. Each year, soldiers from southern Canada are flown north, dropped onto mountains, left for days. Part training, part survival, part surveillance. Technology helps, but much of it is old.
So Canada still relies on people, the Rangers. For nearly 80 years, they've patrolled this land. They live here. They know it. Many are Inuit. At 71, Titus Alulu has served for nearly half a century. Our job is to observe. If something doesn't belong here, we report it. But this history is complicated. In the past, Inuit families were forcibly relocated north so Canada could claim sovereignty. Titus's mother was one of them, moved without warning, left in unfamiliar land. Human beings used as markers. How does that feel? I don't know. The Arctic remembers. The land my grandfather knew was about survival, reading ice, finding food, keeping family alive. Those stories were passed down. They also carried trauma. The RCMP is still looking for my grandfather's grave. That history left deep distrust of government, of authority, which makes this matter, because Titus chose to serve as a Canadian Ranger since the 1970s.
That choice tells you how much he had to overcome. Indigenous knowledge isn't optional, it's essential. Without First Nations, Inuit, and Métis communities, this work wouldn't be possible. They are the eyes, the ears, the permanent presence. The Arctic is changing fast. Warming climate, more ships, more nations paying attention. And traffic always brings risk. Critical minerals, new shipping routes. Geopolitics. None of it can be ignored. Foreign governments are testing the edges, buying abandoned sites, old mines, factories, seemingly harmless moves designed to establish a foothold. Some countries see these waters as shared, or worse, open. When a Chinese research vessel passes through with permission, the question remains, is it science or is it strategy? China wants the Northwest Passage. It also wants Arctic resources, especially rare earth minerals. Investment can quickly turn into influence, control without force. This isn't theoretical. This summer, Canada launched surveillance aircraft to monitor Shuilong 2, a Chinese vessel officially labeled research, believed by many to be something more. The Arctic is being watched, and now it must watch back. An independent researcher tracked a Canadian Coast Guard vessel mirroring the transit of a Chinese icebreaker. Last summer, it was the Navy shadowing a Chinese ship. These vessels call themselves research, but research cuts both ways. Some of these ships are capable of mapping the seafloor, data that could enable future submarine routes or reveal critical mineral reserves buried beneath Arctic ice.
In 2017, a Chinese vessel crossed Canada's Northwest Passage. That wasn't a coincidence. And it's not just traditional adversaries. Former President Donald Trump openly spoke about taking over Greenland. We really need Greenland for national security. Greenland holds vast rare earth minerals, essential to modern weapons and technology. So the question now gets uncomfortable. Could our closest ally also become a competitor in the Arctic? Back on the water, the vessel of interest has been located. Interception in 90 minutes. A Coast Guard helicopter spots the target. Nationality unknown. Estimated 58 personnel. No weapons reported, except bear deterrence. The Navy prepares to deploy its fast boat. We move through fog toward the interdiction. This is the takedown. When we return, we head ashore to hear what Nunavut needs to stand guard. Pond Inlet, Mitamatalik. One of the northernmost communities in Canada. As the Arctic warms, more ships pass through these waters, longer each year. With traffic comes risk. A single hull breach, fuel, oil, chemicals, in a place with almost no infrastructure. The Coast Guard practices deploying containment booms. Because here, a major spill here wouldn't just damage the environment, it would end livelihoods. Sue McLennan is the Coast Guard's Director of Arctic Response. As the Arctic changes, risk increases. More ships, more activity, more chances for something to go wrong. Traffic is still lighter than in the south, but it's rising fast. And when something happens up here, response time isn't hours, it's days. That's why ships are required to carry their own spill response equipment. The question is whether they'd actually use it in a vast ocean where it can feel like no one is watching. Even in summer, crews aboard HMCS William Hall must constantly scan for ice. This is one of Canada's newest naval vessels. And still, navigation is getting harder. Warming waters have made ice less predictable. Old routes close, new routes open. Nothing stays consistent. With easier access, cruise ships now arrive every few days, many carrying foreign passengers. Mariah Erklu wants locals, not outsiders, setting the rules, protecting wildlife, controlling visit length, ensuring communities are compensated. In a territory with Canada's highest unemployment, that matters. She feels the same about the military. Seeing them here makes her feel safe. People working together. But change is accelerating. More ships, more people, more pressure. As Nunavut grows, security isn't just one issue, it's everything, all at once. Growth here has limits. Too much traffic, too fast, and things break. That's exactly what the Navy and Coast Guard are testing. A simulation. A small vessel switches off its beacon. It disappears, then reappears, empty. The latest intel says the people on board moved inland. An RCMP fast boat moves to intercept. On shore, Inuit locals point out the suspects. The Mounties move in. Arrests made. What's found? A handgun, Russian military intelligence ID, drugs, a worst-case trifecta. It sounds extreme, but national security experts say it's not impossible. That's why they practice. What if someone targeted sensitive unmanned military sites in the north? From Eclipse Sound, Nunavut, we meet the man responsible for defending most of Canada's landmass, Brigadier General Dan Riviere, commander of Joint Task Force North, 300 personnel, watching over 40% of the country. Is there an invasion threat? No, not conventional. The real threat is slower and harder to see. Climate change, access, pressure, survival first. Large ships are tracked constantly, but small vessels? They're harder. They can slip through gaps, which is why vigilance matters. A few blocks away, inside Nunavut's legislature, we meet outgoing Premier PJ Akiagak. Foreign ambassadors are coming north, asking questions, looking for partnerships, exploring possibilities. The Arctic is no longer remote. It's being noticed, and attention always brings risk. Many nations are interested in what the North offers. Canada has already asserted its sovereignty through land use, through presence, through people living on this land every day. But sovereignty isn't just flags and patrols, it's communities. There's growing talk in Ottawa of an Arctic economic and security corridor. Roads, fiber connectivity, better internet, real economic access, deep sea ports, a chance for northern resources to reach markets. Sovereignty and well-being aren't separate, they're equal. You can't defend the Arctic with healthy communities. Nunavut has faced deep challenges, housing shortages, high costs, but major investments are finally changing that. For the first time, homes are being built in every community. They'll be airborne in 10 minutes. Over. Back to Operation Nanuk. One final drill, a medical evacuation in extreme isolation. After the simulated arrests, one suspect is injured. Out here, options are limited. A Griffin helicopter lands on a rocky beach. Medics sprint out. Assess, stabilize, evacuate. The helicopter lifts off, climbing over snow-capped mountains. The camera pulls back. Land, sea, scale. The Arctic is vast.